It is a privilege and a joy to be with you. And honestly, I got to give a shout out to our life group leaders because, man, it's you guys who are making the life groups happen. So it's Valentine's Day, and I had a plan. I have this really cool pink polo that, it's got like Disney stuff all over it. And it's just kind of fun. I was like, oh, I'll wear that for Valentine's Day. And then this morning I got up and I was like, man, I got a sports coat. I can look nice. And so I put it on and I walked to the mirror and my wife goes, oh, we got that Valentine sexy going on today. And I went, we've got a winner. Like, I am wearing this up on stage today. And so I got to be honest, I am just so excited to wrap up this series. I have absolutely loved every bit of Let's Try This Again. About 3 weeks ago, Pastor Craig brought these, and the reason why is because they're just so practical. And I'm a practical guy. I love good, just honest, hey, this is how to live out your Christian walk. And 3 weeks ago, Pastor Craig brought up this idea of scripts. The scripts that the world want us to believe in, these ideas that they want us to lean into and to act out and to believe. And I got to tell you, we have a different script because of Jesus. Let me give you an example of this. Happy Valentine's Day. So about half of you went, oh, I love Valentine's Day. And some of you just went, I don't have anybody around. I'm lonely, I'm sad. It's just a media frenzy for candy and flowers and yay. I want to tell you a story because I say this every time I preach, but I'm kind of a nerd and I still love history. And so I did a little digging about Valentine's Day and I learned about this guy who was sainted by the Catholic Church. His name was Valentine. And he was in the 3rd century. And I want to change the script for you about this day because we have a church father that is a rock star. And it's just really a phenomenal story. So here it is. During the 3rd century, so about 325 AD, Valentine was either born in Italy or in Rome. We're not entirely sure exactly. There's kind of some contradiction of where they claim him, but he was a doctor, and he was also a Catholic priest. And Valentine lived under the time of Emperor Cornelius II. And Cornelius he made a weird law. I'm not going to allow marriage to take place. I want to recruit young men for the army, and I'm afraid that if I recruit them or if I allow marriage, they're not going to fight as hard. And I'm not only going to do that, I'm going to stop men from marrying while they're in service because they're going to be worried about their spouses at home. Well, Valentine valued marriage because we do, as the church, we value this relationship that God binds together, and he began to do something against the law. He began to do weddings. It's part of the reason why he became the man of love, right? I mean, he began to marry these young soldiers because he was concerned because these young women in that culture at that time, marriage was a place of social security. Like it's where your status, it's not just your status, but your security as a person and economically came from. And he did this because he wanted to honor Christ. Well, he got arrested, ended up being put in jail, and as God does with us as followers of Jesus, he gave his jailer found favor in him. In fact, his daughter, the jailer's daughter, her name was Julia, and she was blind. And she asked Valentine if he would begin to tutor her and teach her, because he was an educated man. So he did. He began to teach her, and he began teaching her through the Bible and teaching her things about Christ. And his last letter to her was signed off, "Your Valentine," which is where we get the phrase, "from your Valentine." It goes a little further. The emperor came around at one point and said, I want to set Valentine free. I want to give you a pardon, but there's a condition. And this condition is you got to renounce your faith in Christ. He wouldn't do it. In fact, in his conversation with Cornelius, he got so bold as to draw the emperor in and encourage him to have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And it enraged the emperor so much that he wouldn't recant because of this gracious move by the emperor, that he sentenced him to 3 different death sentences. How come we don't hear this? Because we don't hear this in society because it's a different script they're playing right now. And that's one of the beautiful things about the message that Pastor Craig taught us about is these scripts aren't always the truth. And so we have to do something a little different about them. And here's what I want you to know is sometimes, and I've heard this recently, we look around the world and we go, where's the church? Where's the church in the midst of all this mess? And I got to tell you, the church is always moving. But like Valentine, it was humble, it was gentle, and it served quietly in the background. And then the next week, Pastor Craig brought us to Romans 12:2, which is this beautiful passage about renewing our mind. And I got to tell you, that one for me personally, it's just life transformative. There's just no other way to say it. Learning to renew my mind on a daily basis has rearranged how I live. Like it really has. And I love that he did that. So we learn scripts are, rough, and then renew your mind. And then last week, Pastor Tim just brings it home and he talks about sanctification, which is that big theological word for just the process of following Jesus. And we go through this process and we take a step, and we just did a fantastic job. And I love it because it's practical. It's practical, and it leads me to this place where I just go, I can do that. I can lean into that. It's like, you ever play golf and you get up to the tee, or if you have friends who golf and they hit this really terrible shot, your buddies will give you a mulligan. They'll go, oh, take a mulligan, which means you get another crack at it. Or if your computer crashes and it's stuck and you go, well, did you try restarting it? I mean, you get a reboot. It's this idea of let's try this again means I get another shot at it. And I love that because I need another shot. I do. I need more shots at this. It gives me hope because you know what it is? It's grace. It's the grace to try again and the grace to live it out. I mean, I just absolutely have loved this series. And I want to give you a couple reasons why. First of all, I get a little perfectionistic sometimes in my thinking. Anybody else do that? You get a little perfectionistic where you think, I've been shown this once or twice, therefore I should be able to do this perfectly all the time without fail, no problems. I should just lean in and I should have it down. I don't understand why I don't. Well, it's because you haven't put the time in, right? The other thing is this, is that if you want to master something, I've learned this, if I want to master a musical instrument, they tell you that 10,000 hours is what's required. That's a long time. That's a lot of practice. That's a lot of, let's try this again kind of business. Because you play the notes in the beginning and they sound horrific. And then you get a little better and they don't sound as bad. And then they sound better. And the next thing you know, you're like, wow, I'm actually pretty decent at this. But any master you talk to will say this, I could always play a little better. I could always do a little better with it. I could always lean in a little more. And so even for them, the let's try this again is an anthem to give it another shot. There's a principle in the business world. And about 2 years ago, the principle is latent potential. And I know, why are you sharing this business principle? Because I think it actually applies to our spiritual life. I not just think that, I know that in my own journey. And here, let me explain it to you in a simple way. With an ice cube, we know that ice melts or freezes at 32 degrees. So to melt an ice cube, I've got to get it to 33 degrees. But if my starting point is 0 Fahrenheit, I've got to take it from 0 to 1, from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3, from 3 to 4. Now the problem is, as I'm doing this, I don't see results. All I see is that nothing has changed outwardly. And then I get to 29, 30, 31. Let's try this again, 32, and 33, and something begins to help. The ice cube begins to glisten, and there's things that change on the outside. And spiritually for us, it becomes the transformative point. You've got to put that 1, 2, and 3. So a couple years ago, I was pretty heavy. And God really challenged me. He really kind of put it on my heart. Justin, I want you to take better care of your body. So I said, okay, Lord, what does that mean? It means eating healthy, regular exercise. So my wife and I, we joined a gym, started working out. And this principle of latent potential has been kind of the reason why I kept going, because I had to take it from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 3, and then 3 to 4. And I got to move it 1 degree, and every day I move it 1 degree, and sometimes I have to backtrack because I'm back at 2 again, and I still got to take it another degree. But spiritually, it's the same thing. I got to do my chair time every day. I got to sit with Jesus today, because when I sit with him today, he's going to teach me something, or he's going to let me try it again. Because yesterday, man, it was a hot mess, and I was cranky, and I growled at my wife, or I did something silly. I mean, like, I get another shot at it. And it's such a beautiful principle. Just because you don't see the results right now doesn't mean that God's not moving in your life. And that, man, that's the principle that I want to lean into with this, because this week we're going to talk about something a little different. We're going to talk about the heart of generosity. Now, I know the moment I said that, some of you had some scripts start in your head. Oh man, here comes a pastor talking about money. He's diving into my business. I want to tell you, it's not about money, it's about our heart. And that's the focus I want to dive into today. We're in Matthew chapter 6 because we did this 30-day challenge. And when Pastor Craig goes, you got any ideas? I'm like, man, I've been living in the Sermon on the Mount the entire month. And I got a whole lot of thoughts in this thing that I want to share with you. And I want to read the passage to you. It's Matthew chapter 6, verses 19. Do not lay up for yourselves treasure on earth where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But lay up yourselves treasure in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy, where neither thieves break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Have you ever come to a weird passage in Scripture where you go, what? Like you start scratching your head because it just doesn't quite make sense? See, we have these things in English, and we have them in other languages too. They're called euphemisms. Like on the surface, they read one way, but they mean something else. Let me give you some fun examples. The real McCoy, I taught about this several weeks ago. What does that mean? Is there a fake McCoy? Is there, what does that mean? What does McCoy mean? Is it a person? Is he's a real person versus a fake person? Here's another one. He's pushing daisies. Well, do you literally push the daisy? How does that work? Well, it's a euphemism for dead. He's dead. They're dead, right? Or this is one of my favorites. The wheel's spinning, but the hamster is dead. I mean, you just see this picture of this wheel just going around and around with this poor little hamster just wheeling, just going. It's a euphemism for nobody's upstairs at the moment, right? I mean, it's just silliness. The apple of my eye. What? On the surface, I don't have an apple in my eye. My eye's not an apple, it's an eye. It doesn't make sense. But we know that it means it's something I'm affectionate towards and I love. Kick the bucket. Kick that bucket. Why is that a big deal? Well, it's death. I want to share this next section of verses with you because there's a Greek euphemism here. And I promise you've read it, and you've probably, like me in the beginning, I skimmed through it because it just didn't quite make sense. In fact, I wasn't until last year I was in Greek. I was taking Koine Greek, which means the original Greek that the New Testament was written in. It means common Greek. And this was one of the things my professor taught us. He's like, this is the value of learning the original language because you see the nuances of the language. Let me read it to you. The eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, what? It's not infected? What? Your whole body is full of light. But if your eye is bad, what? If your eye is bad, Jesus, where are you going? Some translations render this if your eye is evil. If you're giving somebody the evil eye, does that mean the stink eye? I don't understand. Jesus, it just doesn't make any sense. Your whole body will be full of darkness. So if I've got an evil eye, my body's full of, whoa. And then it shifts gears. Then the light in you is darkness. How great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. For either you will hate the one and love the other, or be devoted to one and despise the other. You can't serve God and money. What in the world does that have to do with a good eye and an evil eye, Jesus? Well, they're euphemisms. In fact, when you skim through different translations, you'll read in the NIV, they translate it as generosity for a good eye and stinginess or greed for an evil eye, which changes everything in this passage. In fact, let me read it to you again. The eye is the lamp of the body, so if your eye is generous, your whole body is full of light. But if your eye is evil or if it's stingy or greedy, then your whole body is full of darkness. You can't serve two masters. You're going to love one, hate the other, be devoted to one, despise the other. You can't serve God and money. Whoa, Jesus. What does he mean you can't serve two masters? Here's the thing. The love of money, man, that can wreck us. I mean, Jesus, these are Jesus's words, and I got to tell you, I want to ask you this question, and I want to ask it in love and compassion with you, because some of you are like, man, my eye is generous, and thank you, Jesus, for growing me to this place. Where's your heart? Is your treasure in heaven, or is it here? Is it here on this earth? And maybe you have this scarcity mindset where you're, man, if I give it away, I'm not going to have enough. Or if I do that, it's going to run out. And I get it. I do. Because I have wrestled with this conversation with God. And if you're hearing this and you're encouraged, I want to thank you for leading humbly here. I want to thank you for leaning in to generosity, because you know what? It's a beautiful thing, your whole body. I mean, Jesus is talking about how it impacts all aspects of our lives. And maybe you're feeling a little conviction. You're like, I've just tuned Justin out at this point. Come back. Because I really need you to circle back with me to the very beginning of this message when I said, let's try this again. You get another crack at it. I mean, that's the beauty of grace. Like, I can wrestle with this issue. I can dig my heels in, but then I can go, you know what, Lord, you're right. I want my treasure there. I want to show you how simple it is to start saving our treasure in heaven. I mean, that's really what I want to lean into. I don't want the script of the lie that you can't change be the script that you listen to. I want to show you that we can try it again. And I want to give you some really simple, practical challenges on how to live a generous life. In fact, one of the things I love is that God the Father wants to renew and give us this right heart. And here are some of the beautiful things that he says to us earlier in chapter 6, the way we can store treasure in heaven. If you pray, don't go out on the corners of the streets and be all proud and, with trumpets and all that stuff. Instead, pray quietly to your Father. When your Father who is in secret will reward you in secret. When you fast, do the same thing. Don't look downcast and, I'm starving. Like, be happy and glad and put oil on your, anoint yourself, look good, dress up, because your Father who knows what's really going on will reward you. When you give, don't sound trumpets. Woohoo, look at me, I'm giving. Just be humble, and when your Father who's in secret will reward you in secret. And there's another one, Matthew 10:42 says this, and whoever gives one of these little ones a cup of cold water because he's my disciple, truly I say to you, he is by no means lost his reward. It's simple. If my treasure's in heaven, I'm living for a kingdom mindset. I'm living towards the kingdom. I'm leaning into Jesus. I'm walking away from the world's scripts. I'm renewing my mind, and I'm trusting the process. And I keep moving forward. Remember when I said sometimes we ask the question, where's the church? See, these reasons when people do things quietly and humbly, and the teaching of Jesus, they challenge us to do it without fanfare. And so you have a whole mess of people around you, giving, serving, loving, being generous, without any recognition being sought outside of the Father. And when we don't have that, it's hard to see it. That's why it's always so important to me when I reach out to our life group leaders. I'm like, I need your stories. Come on, what's God doing in your group? Because I need to tell those. We need to talk about those in a way. At least let me tell your story. You don't need to brag about it. I just need to know so that I can pass it on because these things encourage us. It's about storing our treasure in heaven, not necessarily an attaboy or an attagirl. I want to give you 5 ways to be generous that costs you little or nothing. This is my practical. We're going to dive into the practical right now. Number 1 is encouragement. A text, a phone call, a handwritten note. Let me give you some examples. Hey, John, I loved your communion today. It touched me, it moved me, and it reminded me of the love of Christ in my heart. Thank you. I appreciate you. Now he's in the room, so I can do that. But there are all kinds of ways that you can do these kinds of things. Encourage one another. It doesn't cost me anything to be encouraging, but I gotta be intentional. It means I gotta do it on purpose. That's number 1. Number 2, acts of service. Be generous with your time. Mow your neighbor's lawn if they need it. I don't know. There's all kinds of ideas that you can do. I have a friend who does this, and I'm not joking when I say it. He loves to cook, and I'm a cook. I love to cook, but this dude, he'll send me text messages. I made 5 meatloafs, a brisket, and tacos, and I delivered it to 5 people's houses today. And I'm like, that's a lot of food, man. Were you catering? He's like, I just love it. And I go, why'd you do it? He's like, because they just needed some encouragement, and I could do this, and I had it in my freezer, and I just wanted to love on them. Acts of service. Number 3. This one, this might pull some covers for a second, so bear with me. Be present with the person that you're with. Put your phone down. Actively listen. Have you ever been on the phone call with somebody else and they're clearly distracted? I'm sorry, what? Did you say something? I totally missed it. Or they're on social media while you're sitting there with them and you're like, dude, are we talking? Are we hanging out? Be present. Actively listen, which means you're giving them your attention. And attention, I'll tell you what, it matters to people, especially in the world that we live in, where people are just craving and starving for connection. Be that generous person with your attentions. Even if it's a 5-minute phone call, be all in with them. I make lots of 5, 10-minute phone calls just to check in. Hey, how you doing? I love you. I'm praying for you. Do you need anything? What's fun going on in your life? What are you doing? What's exciting? Number 4. Okay, some of these might start costing a little bit of money, but it's okay. Number 4 is buy the car behind you in the drive-thru their coffee. Why not? Why not? Just be generous. These things are outpouring. And here's a shameless plug. And I'm not even going to deny that this is a shameless plug. We have a reach out outreach coming up literally this Wednesday, February 17th from 4:30 to 6:30 here at the church. Throw some peanut butter in your cart, throw some top ramen in your cart, grab some of those old clothes and bring them here. Be a part of Lean In. Because here's what this is doing. We are feeding the homeless. We are giving to our food closet that is, I'm telling you what, when you come by our street near the food closet on Wednesdays when they distribute, there's a line down the street. People are struggling. They have real felt needs in this season. And you know what? This is an easy way for us to lean in and do it. Here's my challenge for you today. Pick one of the 5. Encourage somebody, text them. Do it bunches of, again, free. Just do it. People need it. Acts of service, lean in, serve somebody. Be present when you're with them. Be present when you're on the phone. Put your phone away. Unless you're on the phone, then talk to them. Be focused. Buy the car behind you coffee, or maybe you grab a note from the store when you're there and you drop it in somebody's mailbox, just letting them know how much you appreciate them. And then lastly, join us. February 17th, reach out outreach, shameless plug again. We do these every month. We do them every month for a reason. Make a plan and do it. And the last one is this. The last challenge is this question is, where's your heart? Are you wrestling with a scarcity mindset? Are you wrestling with, I can't because I'm afraid? My encouragement to you is this: let's try this again. You don't have to stay there. It doesn't have to be the only thing that you see, because you know what? I want for you, I want your body full of light, because when he's talking about his peace, joy, love, hope, all of that fruit of the Spirit comes when we are generous and giving. And I'm not talking about, oh, you must give this way. I'm talking about your heart attitude towards money. Thanks, church. Let me pray for you. Heavenly Father, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you gave us a church father who taught us what it means to stand in the gap and to hold fast to you. Thanks for the example of Valentine. And Lord, I pray that we, as we think about generosity, that you would change our hearts. God, if we're struggling, for those who are struggling out there with even the idea, because, oh, here's just another pastor just calling for money, that's not what I'm saying. Lord, help them to hear the heart of this message, that it's about their heart and their affections. Father, I pray that you move in them. I pray that you touch them wherever they are in listening to this message. I pray that you would challenge them to lean in to your grace, which challenges us to try again, which promises hope that the next day is going to be better. And as long as I keep moving forward, that you will transform us. Father, thank you. Jesus, thank you for euphemisms. Thanks for teaching us something new today. And Lord, for the person who is searching, I pray, God, that you would draw them to you. I pray that you would draw them into an intimate relationship with you. I pray that they would turn away from the life that they had lived and surrender themselves here and now and trust you to be their Lord, your Lord, for the rest of their lives. In Jesus' name, amen.